Your emotions are hijacking your life, and you are entirely blind to it. The second someone insults you, cuts you off in traffic, or disrespects your work, you explode. You think your rage makes you look powerful. Let's be absolutely honest. It makes you look incredibly cheap, weak, and easy to control. The brutal truth of high-status behavior is that the person who reacts first is always the weakest person in the room. Marcus Aurelius warned us that the consequences of our anger are always far more severe than the things that caused it. When you lash out instantly, you are not taking a stand. You're barking like a dog on a leash, moving exactly how your provocateur wants you to move. You are giving your personal sovereignty away for free to anyone who knows how to press your buttons. A truly powerful human being understands that emotional volatility is a lower class instinct. It is a biological malfunction. Tracing the lines of Stoic wisdom, high-status individuals operate with a profound level of emotional intelligence. They do not suppress their internal feelings. They neutralize them before they ever reach the surface. They replace the animal impulse to strike back with a cold, calculated stillness. Your lack of restraint is the only thing standing between you and absolute dominance over your life. But look at the immediate danger you are walking into. If you allow your raw impulses to dictate your words for just one more day, you will sabotage your career, your relationships, and your self-respect. By tonight, a single emotional outburst will cost you a victory that took you 5 long years to build. You think power is about moving fast, fighting back, and striking hard. It isn't. Real power is the luxury of time. While you rush to defend your fragile ego, the highest status individuals in the world are doing something that completely paralyzes their enemies. They are choosing to wait. The second lesson is mastering the sacred Stoic gap between stimulus and response. Epictetus famously stated that it is not things that upset us, but our judgment about those things. When an event occurs, an amateur immediately attaches an opinion to it, declares it a tragedy, and reacts. A high-status individual recognizes that the event itself is completely neutral. Between the moment of provocation and the moment of action, they open up a massive frozen vacuum of silence. In this space, their emotional intelligence takes over. They look at the insult or the crisis not with hot panic, but with the cold detachment of a surgeon. They dissect the threat, strip it of its emotional weight, and calculate the absolute most lethal or strategic response. This is not passive weakness, it is a predatory calm. By refusing to let an external event force an immediate reaction, you control the clock, you control the room, and you control the outcome. High status behavior is defined by this psychological buffer. While the amateur is sweating and screaming, the powerful person is quietly rearranging the chessboard. But the threat is mounting right under your nose. If you fail to build this mental buffer before your next major crisis, you will play right into your opponent's hands. By tomorrow afternoon, your inability to pause will leave you completely exposed, and a single calculated trap will break your position permanently. You believe that the loudest voice in the room holds the power. You are dead wrong. The loudest voice is usually the most desperate. When you constantly speak to defend yourself, you reveal your insecurity. You are begging for approval. The third lesson is weaponizing the high-status art of calculated silence. Seneca observed that we often say things we regret, but we rarely regret staying silent. When an attack comes, your instinct screams at you to drop your dignity and argue. A powerful person does the exact opposite. They meet aggression with a heavy, unblinking silence. They let the insult hang in the air until the attacker suffocates in their own awkward energy. This level of emotional intelligence completely flips the power dynamic. It makes you an enigma. Your enemy cannot read your thoughts. They cannot measure your anger, and they cannot predict your next move. Silence is the ultimate armor of the inner citadel. It proves that you respect your own words too much to waste them on a low-value provocation. While everyone else is burning their energy on useless noise, you are preserving your mental resources for execution. High-status behavior is not about dominating the conversation with volume. It is about controlling the atmosphere with presence. But the trap is expanding. If you keep trying to win every petty argument with a wall of defensive words, you will exhaust your intellect on trivial people. By midnight, your inability to shut your mouth will betray your plans, and your enemies will use your own words to tear down your reputation. You think you need to defeat your enemies by crushing them out in the open. You don't. You defeat them by making them completely irrelevant. When you hate someone, you're still letting them rent space in your head. It is a pathetic surrender. The fourth lesson is executing high-status behavior through tactical indifference. Marcus Aurelius taught us that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When a toxic person tries to drag you into a mud fight, an emotional person dives right in. A powerful person simply turns their back. They utilize their emotional intelligence to view the attacker not as a genuine threat, but as an annoying insect or a broken machine. They do not get angry at a broken machine, they just accept its defect and move around it. This is tactical indifference. It is the absolute refusal to validate an attack with your attention. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. When you deny it to someone who is desperately trying to provoke you, you strip them of their power entirely. You leave them starving for a reaction that will never come. High-status individuals do not waste their precious energy on public execution. They deploy a cold, systematic neglect that erases the attacker's relevance from their reality. But the clock is running out on your focus. If you keep treating every minor disrespect like a declaration of war, you will bleed your focus dry before the week is over. By tomorrow evening, you will be so emotionally exhausted from fighting ghosts that you will completely miss the multi-million-dollar opportunity sitting right in front of you. You are still letting the external world dictate your internal state. You think you are free, but you are just a puppet, dancing to the rhythm of external chaos. If a single bad piece of news can ruin your entire day, you are not a leader. You are a casualty. The final lesson is achieving high-status dominance by shifting from a reactive slave to a proactive master. Stoicism splits human behavior into two distinct categories: the animalistic reaction and the virtuous, premeditated action. True emotional intelligence is the ability to maintain absolute internal alignment, regardless of the external storm. A powerful person does not let the environment set the temperature. They bring their own climate. They do not react to what happens. They act upon their own long-term strategy, their own core values, and their own unshakable purpose. When a crisis breaks, they do not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They immediately ask, "What is the most calculated, high-status move I can make right now?" They transform obstacles into raw fuel for execution. By choosing proactive strategy over emotional instinct, you completely separate yourself from the panic of the masses. You operate at an elite level of clarity where emotion is filtered out, leaving only cold, devastatingly effective intent. Stop renting out your mind to circumstances you do not own. Take back the wheel. But this is your final ultimatum. If you walk away from this video and immediately drop back into your old, explosive, impulsive patterns, you're choosing to stay weak. You are voluntarily handing the keys of your life back to the wolves, destined to remain a background character in a world that only respects power. The choice is yours.